welcome everybody and the whole Wood Circle or the European Wood Circle, and I think we have got a lot to talk about today. And as Uwe Kies mentioned, I'm talking about the traditional material of timber. 550 people are working since 150 or 149 years in Gossau on the topic of how to bring that material which is growing next door into constructions, but also doing the sawing the material. We are not only working in Gossau, we are also having some subsidiaries in Germany, Luxembourg and Austria, as Uwe Kies mentioned, because we want to bring technology also in other markets and in other opportunities. But what we do is working in the whole wood life cycle. That's what we did for the last 140 years, and that's what fascinates us. So bring in the logs, and at the end we are transporting the rest material out or transforming it to energy or to 40,000 tons of pellets, because that's the sustainable use of the resource, even if it's not long-lasting. I'm coming back to it. Construction industry for the last decades, I mean, when we look back, we had this traditional form of wooden houses or farmhouses. Then about 2000, we started to do wooden buildings or wooden single-family homes, which was at this stage very innovative because nobody could imagine living in a wooden house. And during the last 20 years, the projects grow bigger, grow more innovative, and today we are faced in a decade where we have to find the technology to come back to the cities, also to build higher and to build larger. What it needed for this distance, or which we did, was not only the red topics I'm talking at the end of the presentation, but also the topic that building with wood is not only sustainable in an ecological way, it's also a great contribution to climate-friendly construction. And also the serial and modular constructions contributed a big amount of topics to a more sustainable world. Wood products as lever to decarbonize the built environment does also ground or base on a wood-based value chain. Uwe Kies has mentioned it, the various functions of the forests, but I only want to emphasize the two highlighted green buttons. So the cruciality of the wood supply or wood production for the whole value chain, but also the effect which these activities have on the climate of the sequestration performances of the forest. Because, and I say that very clearly for everybody who has the vision that not using the timber in the forest is the best thing to do for climate, this is like a full vacuum cleaner bag which stays in the forest and which doesn't do the activities in 50 years. So this is not a concept for the future. Please take home that the older the trees get, the less they have the sequestration action, and it's really crucial that you think about using the forest, optimizing the forest, or optimizing it in terms of fitness for reacting on the climate change, produce long-life wood forest products for constructions in industry, because this is the storage for the future. It also substitutes a lot of material, also fossil extensive materials, and at the end of the day we all will be able to do climate positive buildings. And that's the substitution effect of wood. If you see that concrete is using almost exactly the amount of carbon than India does as a whole economy. And let me say another topic. We all talk about circular economy, and the first action to optimize the circle of forest and wood-based industry is extend the storage factor. The more we use wood, the more we store, and the more we contribute to a higher storage of long life stored carbon. And prolonging it means reusing it, but the effect is much lower than extending the storage right from the beginning and now, because now action are needed. Timber industry plays a crucial role in that transformation, in producing semi-finished products, in using mainly fir and spruce, because this is needed for construction industry, because today all the normation is based on that species. The timber industry is really having a look at all these products are reliant to existing regulations and standards, and also circular, and maybe not yet today needed to be dematerialized, because in some regions of Europe we have the problem that we don't know where to sell our product. And if we don't find long life circled timber constructions, we have to deliver it to the pellets or to packing industry, and this is not sustainable in the long run. So please consider that also if you think that CLT is not the material to use because it needs too much wood at the moment, that's fine, because the more carbon we store, the better. Let's have a look at the timber constructions from freeforms to standard. Freeform constructions are modeled based planned constructions, like you see here, an interplay of disciplines, process-based, IT-based, and in the end you get the information that you can produce. These beams, as you see here on these pictures, and you take these, in these projects it was about 4,600 pieces, and you bring them together to constructions like this, and at this moment this building looked the best because today there is a skin on it and it doesn't look that nice. Another example, this villa in Turkey, 1,600 square meters of roof. It is not very sustainable, but a beautiful example how timber can look like. A 72-hole golf resort in Korea, which also shows the possibilities of timber, or a golf resort in Saudi Arabia, and also tourist or villas and facilities for tourism in Saudi Arabia. And you could all think about, is it really necessary to build in Saudi Arabia, or is it really necessary to do it in wood? Yes, because also in Saudi Arabia the substitution of concrete is a topic, and if the European industry can bring the products there, it's more sustainable than we leave it to the conventional construction industry. And at the end, I warmly invite you to go and have a look how it feels like living in those kind of buildings. Another example is Wisdom Stockholm. A beautiful example we did with our Scandinavian partners with LVL. It's an example of how you do innovation with existing products and bringing them into construction. And a mosque in Cambridge, which is a beautiful example that you can also picking up historical architecture and innovate them to really beautiful buildings which you can see, and it's open to public. It was modeled in a parametric design, as you see on this picture. It was brought down to 300 beams. They were produced in Switzerland and then brought to Cambridge. And this is design build. So you've got an idea, you develop the model, and you produce the beams, and in the end, it looks like that. This was the one end of the sausage, or maybe timber beam. The other end is a standardized or prefabricated or modular building. You can bring constructions on construction site with beams or in separate parts, but you can also do the prefabrication in your facilities in form of elements and in form for modular buildings. And as you see here, elements can be used for conversions, extensions in dense cities. You can bring them, you can build this building very fast, and because timber is a lightweight material. Some examples of residential buildings, multi-story buildings, and they have different, or they vary, of course, in expressions, but also in materialization. Public buildings, in sports, in healthcare. This is a hospital we built in Wood, nearby, in office buildings, in different variations here, in office and production buildings. You can even think about that you can produce watches in a 5-story building, and everybody who thinks that it still shakes, it doesn't. That's the proof of it. Another example of office buildings with this urban Tamedia building, which is in the middle of Zurich, and it has the self-consciousness there to remain in this topic, or a beautiful example of innovation fabric in Heilbronn in Germany. And the last one here, an example bringing together clay and timber as beautiful combination in sustainable building. Modular building goes one step further, because you take all your subcontractors into your company, and you maximize the prefabrication to the max. We often do modular buildings in school buildings because they're easy to order. They're built in a very short time. Produced, yeah, like you see here, in off-site in our factory. Everybody comes to the factory and brings their skills in. They are protected during storage and transportation, and then built on construction site in a very short time. Also combinations of modular buildings and elements, like here with the example in Dresden, or gym halls, which can also be standardized, or an idea of a concept for the urban environment. Yesterday, we almost hardly did only scholar building, because this was the market which was the most attractive, also because these buildings were moved during summertime because they were needed on another site. Today, this is a much more wider market with different applications, often permanently, with the aim of minimize construction work on site. Topics are the most interesting topic of reuse, because you don't have to disassemble these kind of constructions, and it's more economic than only doing it in parts. And the question is, can you scale that? Can you also do this form of constructions for more cost-effective building, also to solve the living costs? It will be possible, but only with standardization. Standardization is the key word, and that's the beginning of a more efficient building industry, where timber can play a crucial role in this topic. And the question you have to ask yourself is, who has an interest in these changes? For sure not the builders, the developers of the building industry, for sure not the general contractors. So try to bring together the offer of this kind of building with the demand of this kind of building, and then you will be much cost-effective, more cost-effective than today. So, I close with the red square here. So Uwe Kies has already said it. What we need for the future are products, process, and people, and that means sustainable and long-lasting products, and of course also projects, which means efficient and optimized processes in planning and production, also two-piece. And we need qualified and motivated people, and that means also advanced, modern and interdisciplinary education over the borders, across the borders. That's the three crucial things to be more successful in construction industry tomorrow, also in contribution to the climate change. There is also responsibility and attention for wood-friendly standards and codes and norms, and please, harmonized norms and regulations. That's also part of the more effective work for all the engineers and builders or timber construction companies in Europe. We need innovation, R&D, and also pilots to demonstrate what we can do. We need an integrated value chain, an exchange of these topics also, and an integrated approach of long life cycle products and timber products within the chain. And we need more collaboration, trust and partnership all over the sectors and within the sectors as well. And again, we need to ensure the availability of the resource of the wood we need for our companies, so we can become 150 years old during all these challenges. Thank you very much. I strongly believe wood has a bright future, and if we use it wisely, it will be a great contribution to climate neutral constructions, but there will be a lot to do on this way. Thank you very much.